Hello, everybody. Welcome to Park Right Here podcast with your hosts, Katrina and Tom.
Tom. Um,
Yeah, we are here with you. This is episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Four.
4. Today's
We are
today's brought to you
streaming.
by the number 4. One,
Yes.
two, three,
Two,
four. We
three,
have a guest.
four. Ha ha ha. Now we
I think
need
we
lightning in
have
the
a guest
background.
right here. Who's our guest?
We have Lorraine
Bring her
Wilson.
in.
She's not here yet. We're still waiting for her. I'm gonna text her real quick.
All right.
But
Again, this is live television, so I got a pop up that said we have a guest,
yep,
and I don't
and
see
that's
anybody.
yes. But also we have to put our disclaimer out. We are not medical professionals. We will at times talk about medication, and we ask that you come into the comments either on YouTube or Facebook. We're on both right now, and we also download them. The episodes on YouTube. Please come to our YouTube channel, Park Right Here Podcast. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. My daughter reminded me we have to say that, just like they do on YouTube. And so we can get more subscribers. We have 33 as of right now, which is 33. And that is awesome. And we actually had one of our shorts. To us, it was like a mini, what do you call it? When it goes, go viral with 2,500 hits, which I don't know why it did that, but I was very happy with it. So thanks for the support. We thank everyone who watches weekly. We on Facebook and in the Facebook groups and all of that. We're here to help. I have young onset Parkinson's for about 12 years now. I'm
a tweener.
I had DBS or deep brain stimulation surgery about 2 years ago, and that's why I'm having a little dyskinesia right now. So I'm going to play with my iPod, and I have 2 electrodes in my brain and 2 generators that run them, and I'm going to turn them down right now so I won't have as much stimulation, and hopefully that will help. So Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you. As you can see, and this is the interesting part about Parkinson's, it impacts everybody differently. So I was diagnosed a little over 8 years ago. I have muscle fatigue and rigidity. I have very minor tremors, which I don't even know if you can see a tremor at this point. And I'm starting now after 8 years to develop a little bit of off time. My meds are they used to give me a good solid 4 hours. Now I'm about 3.5 hours. And I start feeling the tremor in the legs starting. Take my meds, like 15 minutes later, the tremors have stopped, which is cool. But like everybody, there's always that concern about taking too much medication and worrying about what's the word I'm looking for? The
Dyskinesia.
Yes, having or side effects. Not trying to worry so much about the side effects.
Yep. And the main side effect after about 5 to 7 years of taking levodopa is that your brain can't handle it. So you get the dyskinesia from the medication, unfortunately. And
excuse me.
It's really weird. Sorry. It's like one side goes kind of quiet and settles down, and the other side is so yeah, that's a hard adjustment to make.
We have a guest popping in. Oh, cool. Oh, this is going to be, I'm going to, drum roll, please, as Lorraine comes in. I'm going to give Lorraine a big shout out as soon as I see her.
Yep. Yeah. As soon as she comes on, I will put her on stage.
So what Katrina and I want to start doing, if possible, is inviting other people who either have Parkinson's or connected to the Parkinson's community in some manner, so that we can just help, offer more information, hopefully give you guys something, that you didn't have before the meeting started. This is taking Lorraine a little bit slow to get in.
Yeah, I don't know if that's her Wi-Fi or.
So
Yeah,
just
just
while
keep
we're waiting,
talking.
Lorraine's an ambassador with Davis Phinney as well. I met her
Okay.
about 2.5 years ago when I first started, and we were working on a project together. And as I got to know her, I really started to gain a lot of respect for what she was able to do. Except maybe she can do a lot of stuff, but she can't seem to log in. Huh. So
There we
while we're waiting for Lorraine, I want to just go over something that I did this week, which was really cool. There's a group called Project Event, and it's a kind of a collaboration between us and certain academic schools where I sat down about, oh, wait a minute, I think she's coming. I'll just leave you guys in suspense later on.
No, you keep talking
Okay.
until Lorraine pops up.
So I was interviewed by a group of middle school students about Parkinson's, how it, what it is, how it impacts my life, etc. And then they came back a month later, which was this week, and they pitched me on some ideas of inventions that they think would work to help people with Parkinson's. Now, these are just in theory inventions, kind of things that they're trying to put together. But we spent like a good hour and a half talking to these kids, and it was really a cool experience to see how these kids, I'm keep saying kids, were so engaged. I think two of them committed to become neurologists by the time this was all over with. But hopefully, one of our podcasts that we're going to do coming soon is we're going to invite the kids on and just have an opportunity to talk to them.
Yep. That sounds awesome. I know that would be really cool for someone Erica's age. My daughter, she's 16 and she loves she the first thing she did after coming back from Minneapolis from the leadership conference was go to the library and get a book about Parkinson's, and she said she already knew everything that was in it. So,
Oh,
it's
that's
really cool.
cool.
Yeah. So,
I, in a crazy way, a while back, I had a new neighbor. He's been here about a year now, and I unfortunately diagnosed his Parkinson's because he started having all the classic syndromes of Parkinson's. So we and I chatted a little bit, and I just said, "Man, I need you to go to a neurologist just to talk to somebody, because unfortunately, I think this is what you have." And unfortunately, I was right, but he's dealing with it very well, which is kind of cool.
well, he blames it on you.
Yeah, we have a poker night, and we were playing poker one night, and he mentioned that he had Parkinson's and he got it from me. But being the kind of idiot that I am at times, I said, "Well, Paul, I told you when we kissed not to swap spit, but that's how you got your Parkinson's." That kind of shut him up for a little bit. But this is like watching paint dry. Everybody out there this is like watching paint dry. Raise your hand. Okay, I see one. Oh wait, I see two.
Yep. They
Wow.
said, is it hard to log in? Bead watcher. We don't know yet. Well, obviously it is. This is our first time. So it's a,
Evidence would dictate that it is, but in any good clinical study, we don't have enough input to determine.
yep.
Oh, hey,
So
Ian, how you doing today?
Can you hear me,
Ian.
guys?
Yes, I can hear you, Lorraine. Yay.
I just don't
Well,
know
Lorraine, I can
why it
hear you.
won't
Can you
do
hear us?
audio.
Okay, we got your audio.
I mean, visual. It won't do the camera. I've got both of them on. I've got the mic on and I've got the camera on.
Okay.
But they
Did
don't
it-
need to see me. We can just talk.
Can you see us?
I see you and I hear you.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I put up that message.
Okay. Did you want to try to log out and then log back in, or how do you want it? Or are
Let me
you
leave. Yeah, let me leave and come back.
okay? And
Okay,
if
well,
not,
hurry up.
we'll just
Miss you
do the
already.
audio. I love her
So isn't
voice.
this is like living on the edge, not knowing what's going to happen at any given moment. This is, I'm trying to turn a negative into a positive, by the way. So here I am. I'm on the edge of my seat, just waiting to see will Lorraine come back or won't she? Oh, I think she's back. It's kind of like a soap opera, and these are the days of our lives.
Or As the World Turns. That was one of my
Wow.
favorites.
I'm just looking at Ian. That's amazing. You're diagnosed at the age of 25. Holy crap. How you doing?
Yep. He is, I believe I did. Ian, did I Were you the one I spoke to about coming on the podcast? I think so.
We would send you an invite, but it takes forever to get on. So maybe if we send you an invite now, we'll have you for next week.
I think he was the one that I spoke to. I also know another guy from Uganda it's his purpose in life is just to spread, well, it's to do a lot of things, but to spread the news that Parkinson's is not witchcraft, because his mother got Parkinson's and his father left her because they believe it's highly contagious and it's witchcraft, and a lot of people are abandoned by their families, left to starve and die. And he would sneak to his mother's and give her food and everything before she passed away. And he goes and puts stickers on taxis and says it is a disease, it's not witchcraft, and he tries to change people's minds and everything like that. And he is so dedicated. I cried like a baby when he told me his story the first time over Facebook Live, or like the chat.
What just fascinates me is we live in this world of artificial intelligence, and there's people out there that don't have any intelligence, and they just think something that they don't understand is witchcraft, and that's just crazy. And then that's just crazy. At what point do we become an advanced society where people don't think things they don't understand are witchcraft, or feel like the need to turn something into a negative if they simply don't understand it?
Okay, it wasn't Ian that I spoke to. I can't remember. But yeah, we would love to hear fighting for that long, from that young. I was 42, and I thought, that was young. And yeah, I'd love to hear if you have a family and how that happened, and how you deal with it. And I can't imagine from 28. That's about the age that Michael J. Fox was, and he's still, I think he's about your age. Am I correct, Tom?
I think I'm 50. I'm sorry, I was diagnosed at 56. I'm 64. So that's why I say I'm a tweener. I'm not quite young onset, but I'm not quite the senior citizen when I was diagnosed. I'm sort of in the middle.
And he says, I have my bad and good moments with this stupid disease, but I'm standing up and fighting back, punching the heck out of Parkinson's. He must do rock steady. That sounds like a rock steady chant.
Hey, I got an idea. Oh, there she is.
Lorraine.
Oh, hello.
I know Lorraine
It only took you 16 minutes, but welcome to our first guest ever for this.
Now let me explain, TC. Come on.
I know who Lorraine is.
Oh my God, here she goes.
She's one of my favorites too.
My computer defaults to Safari, so I was on with Safari. Didn't like Safari. I got off. I went to Chrome. It likes Chrome, but I had to remember my password. But I did. I got in. It didn't like my camera. Right now, it tells me I'm operating off FaceTime camera. But hey, it works.
It works. This is Lorraine.
I got something in honor of Lorraine being our first guest. Bear with me a second, guys. I'm going to get undressed. This is PG-13. I'm wearing the pickleball shirt that Lorraine did as a fundraiser. Here, let me go down a little bit. There you are. So this is as I like to say, I always think Lorraine, and I'm going to make her blush, is like a force of nature. What she has done for the Parkinson's community is just incredible, and that's why I'm glad she's on the show. But she did this thing with pickleball, and she sent me a shirt, and I got to believe the color makes my eyes pop right there. So I was proud to wear the shirt for you today.
Thank you.
Were you in Minneapolis, Lorraine?
No, I did not get to go in person.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. But I know you from the support groups, from the Zoom calls.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But I have something to wear in your honor. So, Tom, you start.
Take it away, Tom.
So just a quick background. How long have you been an ambassador? Pardon me?
been an ambassador since 18 or 19.
How long have you been an ambassador?
Since 2018 or 19. I'd have to look.
Okay, so I started 2 years ago. So oh God, so I was like 5 years after you. Is that right? Does the math work? I joined. Let's see, 2 years. I was like 2 years ago. So that was 2021.
She's got her fancy shirt on.
Oh, there we go.
That, yeah.
Because we're badass.
Can you read it?
Can.
We do whatever it takes. We are unstoppable. We are stronger together. Badassadors. Badassadors.
I don't say that word because it sounds too much like I'm swearing. I don't want to swear. I'm just a nice guy. No.
We'll put a.
So, Lorraine,
I always put a thing it's not for kids.
Why don't you give us an idea of what you do for the Parkinson's community?
Well, I'm a facilitator of our local group. We also have some exercise classes available to persons with Parkinson's at no charge. And we have some art activities. We are getting ready next year to have an art exhibit of the work done by our local persons with Parkinson's. And last April, we used some of their art. We used all of the art from the group that worked that time to make our April Parkinson's Awareness Month posters to put around the city. And so besides the group and art and activity, I am an ambassador for Davis Phinney, as are you guys. And I have written for several other blogs as an invited writer, author, whatever you want to call it. And that's been a wonderful experience to hit. One of them was on mental health. One of them was just on living well, which of course goes with living well today, right? So that's kind of what I do. And today I was just on the.
Well, tell us about the fundraising.
Yeah, tell us about what you do for fundraising. And I would love to hear how you started this support group, because that's where I am here. I'm in the Appalachia parts of Virginia, and we have no resources whatsoever. We don't even have a neurologist.
I hear you.
This one is an hour away.
Well, for the fundraisers,
but what we've done is we've done
two major events. The first major event was Walk a Mile in My Parkinson's Shoes, and it was to develop awareness, understanding, and empathy. And the persons we invited, and it was by invitation only because we needed kind of movers and changers in the local area. It was a great group. We had 12 because we felt like that's what we could work with. So it was a small number, but it was a wonderful number in the end because they were very involved in what we were doing. We had simulations, what it was like to live with Parkinson's. So they had to go through these assessments. They had to go through some gait movement activities. We had kind of what you would call an obstacle course. And in that Walk a Mile in My Parkinson's Shoes, the outcome in my mind was definitely increased awareness, increased understanding, and increased empathy for those folks. And even since that first workshop, we've had those people in the community work with us even more. And part of this is from the Davis Phinney Foundation, and it is the Healthy Parkinson's Community. So the second endeavor, we realized, we need to raise some money. And so that helps us do more things, right? We haven't yet gotten a grant, but we're working on it. Otherwise, we've been self-funding everything. There's a committee of 7 of us. And that one was the Pickleball for Parkinson's last April. So we put that with a silent auction. And altogether, it was small potatoes compared to like Louisiana, the fancy, wonderful walk they do that is a huge fundraiser. Michelle and her team do an amazing job. But we did raise over $5,000 and have been able to use that for our local groups. And so we're getting ready, planning our next Pickleball for Parkinson's in April 2024. And so, none of this is proprietary. We're happy to share any of the ways we've planned these events and carried them off. And it's just been very eye-opening to see how many people are interested. And then the people that might close the door in your face might shock you. Unfortunately, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this because it's kind of just us, right, in the community that's listening to us. The
Well,
doctors were
based on our level
the doctors were
of people on.
interested, and I know they're busy, but we did this on a Saturday, so we thought they could come. But anyway,
Well, also, what type of people did you invite, like specifically? I was thinking of like,
specifically,
I actually had a conversation with the CEO of our local hospital.
right?
The
We
one thing they lack is a neurologist. They've been looking for one since the
oh,
last neurologist retired.
right. You need to get one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't have any movement disorder specialists, Katrina, but we do have a few neurologists. But a lot of us drive out of town to get who we need, get the care we prefer. Yeah. But
4 hours.
back to the support group, it had been started before me, so I was not the starter. But they asked me to take over after I had been a guest speaker a couple of times. And so one of the things that I did that I'm very grateful was to say, I don't know that this should be led by just one person. We all have strengths and weaknesses. I think there's a big
Mhm.
strength in having two. So we're co-facilitators. And that really helps. So we plan programs. We work with the local graduate school of PT, and we have another graduate school locally that is OT. And what a blessing that is to work with those students and to have them come in to be guest speakers, the faculty that is, sometimes even the students. So I don't know about in each person's community, but find people who can help you, and that's a great benefit. But
Yeah,
also the
that's what
college
I want.
need
I want
volunteer hours.
That's what I want to do. I actually want to facilitate the group. I don't want to run it. I actually want to have people from the community run it because that's kind of how it works out here.
Yeah.
It helps that I'm related, that I have family connections, because that's how I get my foot in the door. Because usually somebody knows my mom or my uncle or my grandmother, and because in Appalachia it's a completely different culture. Um, and you have to know somebody or be related to somebody. And my mother grew up here, and my dad grew up in the neighboring county. Um, so I is the hillbilly in my mind. This was always my favorite place on the planet because I grew up in the military. But I don't have the accent unless I speak to my third or my second cousin for any length of time. Or I get mad, and then my twang starts coming out, and I start sounding like a hillbilly. And
Mhm.
but the connections are there, and usually that's what you have to have for people to trust you. And I have connections at some of the local restaurants and that kind of stuff, and they're willing to help, and the library and that kind of stuff, because I've had to do it old school because not everybody has the internet. I've had to put flyers up at the post office and the library and the restaurants
Mhm.
and do footwork and
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And and I my church actually has a gymnasium behind it with a pickleball court. So
Oh, good.
yeah, so I
Mhm.
would love to get a pickleball for Parkinson's going. So when it comes to that, one, I don't know how to play pickleball.
It's okay. You
So
don't have to know how to
I
play.
do.
so with that kind of fundraiser, how do you fundraise for it?
Well, for the pickleball fundraiser, we organized the tournament,
Mhm.
and then people could register, and we actually made payment voluntary. We
Mm.
said, in lieu of a set fee, we would like you to donate to the Davis Phinney Foundation. And that worked rather well. I think this year, well, for 2024, we are going to have a fee, but it will be a nominal fee, but then they could donate more on top of that. And the adults in the community
Sure.
tended to use their money that way. The college students, we gave them a lesser fee just because they're, spending big bucks to be in college. And we had many college students and register, but very few college students made a donation on top. And we expected that. We understand that. It's not a big deal. But because pickleball is growing in leaps and bounds, I will give you a little history if I'm going to brag on a friend of mine. Her name is Joyce Curtis, and Dr. Curtis taught at a local university. And she basically is the queen of pickleball in Texas. She brought it to the elementary schools, junior highs at that time, now middle schools. And so at what we would call the annual convention of PE teachers or kinesiology folks from the colleges, etc., Joyce would always be there for a demo through the pickleball company and sell equipment for them or give them curriculum to bring pickleball into their schools and their communities. And that is just delightful. And I don't know about you guys, I haven't seen that chicken restaurant that has pickleball courts, but that's supposed to be huge. I know the
really?
DFW area has it. But for the fundraisers, once you've got your tournament set up and you've got registration open, then it's simply a matter of having your equipment available. And we're fortunate the university lets us use pickleball paddles. So we do buy new balls, but we let people can bring their own paddle or use one of ours if they don't have them to make it as convenient for everybody as possible. And then they just start play, and we set it up where we would be done within 4 to 5 hours. And for your venue, we could be indoors or outdoors here where I live, but it's often very windy in April, so we stayed indoors only. And by having 8 courts, then that made that affected the time frame. How many players do you have? How many courts do you have? How many games before they're eliminated? And you start narrowing it down to then your winning group. So you have to decide if you want it to be open or if you want it to be women versus women, men versus men, mixed couples. Do you want age groups? What do you want in your tournament plan? And once you kind of decide that, you just get it going. And then we've been using that money to pay for other things that we want to do in the community and to help the group.
Okay. I know I'm going to the big Christmassy farmers market in Abingdon, Virginia, which is about 40 minutes from here. And I'm going to taking the Davis Phinney table. I mean, I had an event last weekend, my first official event in Charlottesville. And it's called the Park, PARC, the Parkinson's Activity and Recreation Center.
Nice.
They had everything set up for Rocksteady. They had Rocksteady. They had dance for PD. They had other exercise classes. They had support groups. It was an amazing space. And they had a lot of donations from, and it was in Charlottesville, which is right by the University of Virginia Medical Center, which has a movement disorder clinic and a DBS clinic. That's where I get treatment from.
Wow.
So it was really nice. I got to meet Susan Dietrich, who is an amazing woman. I've been trying to meet up with her for months. And she goes, Katrina. And she came up and gave me a big hug. She goes, she is the patient advocate at the movement disorder clinic. And we've been emailing and phone tagging because she stole all my Davis Phinney cards from the movement disorder clinic. And she was passing them out. She loves the Davis Phinney program. And actually, I was personally invited. They had Boston Scientific there. They had Medtronics. They had Embresia. And can you believe that the Embresia representative had never seen anybody take Embresia before?
No, I can't.
I'm like, and it was about 3:30. I was going off my meds. So I said, would you like me to demonstrate for you? and some other Parkinson's patients came and watched me, and I demonstrated for him how to take Embresia. He goes, that was so cool. I'm like, okay. I've been taking it since 2018. But it was nonstop for 3 hours. They had much more turnout than they thought. I met so many wonderful people. I was so slammed at Davis Phinney. It was like I passed out all of my books, all of my caregiver books. I met newly diagnosed. I met people who for years. And I'd say about 75% of people, and this is in East Coast, toward the East Coast of Virginia, and they knew about Davis Phinney. And I was like really shocked because a lot of times people don't know because East Coast is not as familiar with them. But thank God for my husband because when I would have a couple, he would say, "Hey, do you know about David?" He knew everything too. He knew about Dave. He's never been to a conference or anything. He just is such a great caregiver that he knows. And I think he would make a great ambassador, but I can't talk him into it. He says, "I'm retired. I don't want to work." But he worked that night because we both were on our feet for 3 hours. And so it's like lit a fire under me. But he's going to run the caregivers group, the support group.
Super.
And it's just been really awesome. And I know you have given me a lot of encouragement and advice, and I want to thank you for that.
I'm having technical issues, so I'm going to log out and I'll be right back.
Okay. Are you on your little notebook? Nope, he froze again.
Well, one of the things you mentioned about people need to know you and the networking in your community and how helpful it is between family and friends. It took months, maybe even the first couple of years with the support group before I felt like they were connecting with me and with each other. And I keep going back to the quotation of it runs something like, I want to say that it's people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I might know about Parkinson's, from an insider viewpoint, from a study as well. I might know about things in the community. I might know about exercise, but they don't really care about what I know until I've kind of shown them that I care, and I want to get them involved in why it's beneficial to them, how it might be beneficial to them, and how, learning from each other is helpful and supporting each other is critical. In the past, the support group was well run, but she had been the leader for years. And so it had always been done a certain way. And I kind of slowly but surely changed the way, not drastically in my mind, but for some of them, it was, I guess, drastic. And so
change is always hard.
Yeah. And so you just, you've got to trust yourself, but being open about communicating and even, asking them now and then, I'd give them little surveys. Do you want these topics? What do you want? Do you want activity only? Do you want to just be spoken to like, in a class where people lecture? Do you want participatory things? And so we try to have a good blend, and people come on the days that they think they're going to enjoy it best. And I really enjoy getting them into the public. We meet at the end of each November with the PT students at a local grad school. So that's a great opportunity for the students to meet them and for them to feel important and interested. I love it.
We actually have a high school that has a like a technological career advancement for physical therapy
in medicine.
Yeah, for PT and OT. There's also a community college right down the road that has, I think it might just be like associate's degrees, and then they can transfer to Virginia Tech, which isn't far, within 2 hours. Blacksburg is, or University of Virginia, or Virginia Beach is where my daughter wants to go. As far away as she, but staying in Virginia because she gets, because of military, she gets an extra $12.50 a month, but she has to stay in the state of Virginia. But my parents live in between Williamsburg and Virginia Beach. So, and one thing that was really awesome for my daughter, I got to take her to Minneapolis, and I didn't realize she had never seen anyone else with Parkinson's but me. So she got to meet, there was another girl who was about 25, my daughter's 16, and her mother had only been diagnosed for 3 years, but she had to help her mother to the bathroom, and she only could walk around the Mall of America for about 10 minutes. And Erica came back to the hotel and said, "Mom, you are so much better than most of these people." She goes, "But why do you all of you guys look the same? You all have the same face." I said it's because it's called Parkinson, or resting Parkinson's face is what I call it. And Jim said the same thing about the event where we all just had that same look. And he says, one thing I'm going to have to do is get my new hearing aids because he had such a hard time with, those, that low Davis Phinney kind of talk. Because
Yeah.
Davis Phinney was there at the conference, and I got to hug him. That
Yeah.
was awesome. I started a hug fest. Poor guy had to go and hug everybody. Yeah, Tom was next.
Well, I just said to him, I'll take a hug. And God knows he came over and hugged me, which was kind of cool.
Yep,
I didn't expect to be hugged.
Of course. And we got to tell everybody about the podcast. And this was actually something I did during the pandemic, just me and Audacity. I recorded it on Audacity, just audio, because there was so much misinformation coming out and so many people that were scared because of the pandemic and getting a diagnosis of Parkinson's and not being able to see their family and feeling lonely and afraid. And I pretty much told my story and what I was walking through and what I knew from really great MDSs in Colorado, and also that they're not alone, and giving correct information, because I get so tired of, I took this herbal supplement and I never had tremors again and all this other BS, and I report those people as fast as I can and say, please don't listen to this stuff. It's hogwash.
And that's one of the beauties and dangers of the internet is there's so much information out there. I call it noise. There's just so much noise. And it's hard to filter through all that noise.
Hey, cousin Stacy. Sorry.
Hey, cousin Stacy.
Yeah, she's one of our regulars. My cousin from Georgia. She always tries to sneak in and say hi. She's a regular. But that still goes on. Even when I post the podcast on all the Parkinson's pages that I can get a hold of, they all accept. There's a couple of them that reject it if they're like just an exercise page or just for vitamin B1 or thiamine or whatever they think will save them from Parkinson's. Somebody will try to creep in with, this doctor is selling this supplement that will save you from Parkinson's. I'm like, there is no cure for Parkinson's. There are treatments, even DBS. I'm feeling better now. I'm still a little dyskinesic. I probably need to adjust it again. But there's no cure yet. I said, and Davis Phinney kind of fills that hole, that gap of helping people live well with it today. Exercise, nutrition, get on a good Mediterranean diet, which is good for your mental health as well as your physical health. Get out in the sunshine. Vitamin D is a huge one that affects your mental health. And then I read about the symptoms, non-motor. I just pretty much read out of every Victory Counts book. I was reading almost verbatim out of that. And that took 5 episodes just to talk about the symptoms of Parkinson's in detail. Because you know what? It's such a complicated disease. I was even telling people newly diagnosed, it's so complicated. These are the trusted resources. Don't research it on the internet. Talk to your movement disorder specialist first. Get not a regular neurologist, get a movement disorder specialist. And trusted ones I look at is Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, NIH, Michael J. Fox, ADPA. They were there too. Davis Phinney, and I would say Parkinson's Association. Those are probably my top ones that I would look at and that I would trust. ADPA is really good for support groups. The nearest one here is Whitful, which is about an hour and a half, and it's a combination for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And so that's why I would like to get one started out here. And it's just frustrating because people don't understand. Like I was trying to work with the guy at the YMCA in Tazewell, trying to get to see if any of his um, personal trainers wanted to be certified in PWR or Rocksteady or any of those things. And I said I could get grants, possibly from Davis Phinney, for the certification, um, any certification cost. And he's like, well, I don't see the financial benefit to me to have those classes. And it's like,
That's
But
sad.
everything's about financial benefits.
I'm like, what about the community benefit? What
Right.
about the benefit, you know, to, people might come in and get, instead of just coming for the class, they'll get memberships, you know.
Well,
He's
speaking of like things on the internet, I signed up for what I thought was a series on Parkinson's. And when I logged into the first session, I lasted about 5 minutes before I got off because for today only, for $59, he would sign you up for his membership and it's 83% discount off the normal price. I'm like, first of all, I sent a note saying you don't pay for Parkinson's information. And secondly, nothing's 83% off. So and I just felt I was a little angry at myself because I like to think that I'm well studied and I know good from bad, but I was sort of sucked in a wee bit until the first 5 minutes, and then I saw the light. Like, I'm not paying for this information. And that's probably one of the clues out there if you sign up for something. If they're asking for money, they're probably not a legitimate organization. I would say, unless, of course, it's me asking for money, then just give me that. That's different. I promise you I'll use it for good, not evil. But that's one of the things. When I was first diagnosed, I had the weekend to myself with the internet. And my wife had previously made arrangements to go visit her sister out of town. She said, "You're going to be okay." I said, "Yeah, I'll be fine." And I swear I came like this close to ordering a gallon of coconut oil to pour on my head because they swore that cured Parkinson's. I think the only thing it would have done is give myself nice smelling hair, but I still would have Parkinson's.
Yeah.
That would have, yeah. And there was one guy, I'll not forget his name. I usually forget everybody's name, but his name was Kevin and his wife's name was Heather. The reason I remember, because my brother's name is Kevin and his wife is named Heather. And I told him he's newly diagnosed. I mean, like within the last couple of weeks. And one thing that my husband thought of, that he asked every person with Parkinson's, when were you diagnosed? But when did the symptoms start? Because those are always two different dates.
Yes.
And he said the symptoms started about a year ago. And they were starting off fresh. I mean, they knew practically nothing. So, of course, I showed them the Every Victory Counts book. And with every person, I broke down the contents and I showed them what the contents were. Like, the first part is, now I have Parkinson's, now what?
Mm-hmm.
And then Parkinson's 101 and, motor symptoms versus non-motor symptoms. What is it? What's the first one? Well, I know cognitive and then autonomic, and it even breaks it down further. And they were just like, wow, this is exactly what I need. And I said, and here's yours. Here's your caregiver one. Because Davis Phinney and we all believe how important caregivers are, that they had to separate it. It used to be together, but they're now separate. And also go on the website. They have great webinars and articles and everything that you need. Also check out Michael J. Fox. Also, check out ADPA. You may be able to find an online support group. And also Charlottesville has a lot to offer. And I told them join the park, definitely. Sarah was amazing. Sarah was a young person who was a rock steady instructor. I mean, Jim said, as a former Marine in the Army for 22 years, there is no way he would ever fight this woman. She was like 6'2", and yeah, he said she would kick his butt from here to here to Texas. And but she had a huge heart, and she was good at marketing too. I could tell because she got a lot of stuff donated and had a great personality and heart for the Parkinson's community. And I got to meet a lot of physical therapists and everything. She talked, I think it was Medtronics, into buying enough pizza for everybody. And but she didn't make me pay for my table. She had me inside. She had everybody else outside. All the other vendors were outside. And then Susan would help bridge that gap because people were surrounding my table all the time. Anyway, it was just absolutely amazing. And I told him he would be the perfect ambassador. And then he told me he used to be a hospice chaplain. I'm like, perfect. I mean, perfect. Because the other lady, Charlotte, who was an ambassador for Virginia, is moving to Texas. So it's just me again for Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, and the entire state of Virginia. So,
well, it might be time for you to start making a list like I did. I started local, and we involved city council members.
mm-hmm.
And then we have 211, if you have that in the community. So the director of 211 participated. We had the chief medical officer from the local hospital system. We had a state member of the House of Representatives. We had physicians, whether primary care or neurologist. And so those were the kinds of people we brought in that, we wanted to try to influence the community. So
did
you mentioned 211? What's that?
211 is a call for help, and it's like 911 for medical emergencies, but it's 211 like people who have a family emergency or like their utilities have been turned off. Maybe they need information about being diagnosed with Parkinson's. Then they send them to our support group. So if you have something like 211 in your area, Tom, you want to find out, and
I'm calling now and see if anybody answers.
And normally, like, they'll find local support groups or.
No, my call failed.
I'm looking at Google and seeing if.
Well, one of the fundraisers you did, Lorraine, that I really loved was, what did you call it? Like walking into my Parkinson's shoes?
Walk a mile in my Parkinson's shoes. Yeah. Remember the actual quote is walk a mile in my shoes.
Right.
And the whole idea is to have empathy for others, not to criticize them or judge them in any way for whatever way they might be different than you, but to learn more about them and to empathize, to understand. And so that's why that title was important.
Yeah, because it's such a misunderstood condition. As you can see, there's three of us, and we all have vastly different symptoms. And so someone may see Katrina and think that's Parkinson's. Someone sees me, and I don't have the same, unfortunately, I guess I'm going to say, I don't have the same symptoms. So yet we both have Parkinson's. And I think it's important to help people understand the difference between the various aspects of Parkinson's.
Yeah, they think that it's just, or they think that it's very much dominant with tremor.
Yeah.
They think that it is predominantly male, which is only 1.5 times male to female. They think that it is predominantly like 80 and up in age, and that they're always stooped, bent over. And Katrina, like you were mentioning, that they would have that frozen facial expression and quiet voice and shuffle and fall. And
that's what I thought.
Say stereotypical look at someone with Parkinson's. And so when Michael J. Fox was diagnosed, I mean, obviously that was a game changer for the community to understand, oh, these people don't all look alike, and oh, they are different ages. And
And here's
Yeah,
like this Google,
it's called,
and here's where people typically, I don't know how well you can see that.
I can sort of, oh, I can see the figure. Yeah.
Let me turn the light off for a second. I don't know if that's okay.
No, it went away.
yeah,
Well,
that's,
he's
I
losing
honestly thought, that's what I
No,
thought
I
as a
can't.
nurse.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
just Googled Parkinson's disease and went to images, and
Yeah.
it shows me, the whole negative aspect of Parkinson's, the stooped over, the masked face, and that's not Parkinson's.
Well, not for everybody and not until the end, right? I mean, that's not an
Right.
initial, yeah. Hey, this 211 is 211 for essential community services. So I don't know if yours is listed under something else, but and
Yeah,
mine
we
includes
have it.
United Way. So you might just check your United Way and see if they have 211 as a shortcut.
Yeah, there's 211virginia.org and dial 211.
Okay, so
So I'll
maybe
have somebody.
Delaware.
Yeah, I'll have somebody from there, and I actually belong to a Facebook page, Richlands, for a better Richlands 2.0 or something like that. People for a better Richlands. It was because we had somebody fired the police chief, fired everybody on the board. It was craziness.
Goodness.
Yeah, we had to redo everything. So. Yeah, everybody wants to keep their jobs. So.
Well, they can have mine. I don't want my job anymore.
But
one other thing that we've tried, guys, if you want to try this, is a silent auction or an auction online. So the first one was it started with quilts, all having a tulip theme, since tulip is the flower for Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
But then we decided to expand it to other handcrafted items, but we still would prefer that tulip, be a part of that. Then the second one, I don't know if it was like 50-50 or a greater percentage, but persons with Parkinson's made things, donated them, and then those were auctioned, silent auctions. So that's fun, to clipboard, piece of paper, and a pen, and people that come through can put a bid down for you. And then when the bidding closed, we announced the winner, got our money, and went on. It was great. Mm-hmm. But we had things like lamps made by a woodworker, quilts still. We had, I made some journals. People made such a wonderful variety of things that everything sold pretty well. I was pleased.
Good.
And so,
now
and one local lawyer put in, he would write your durable and medical power of attorney.
Oh, and that's good.
Yeah. And so the person who, won that in the silent auction was able to make an appointment and get those documents either updated or made fresh if they'd never had them made. Yeah. And I would suggest on this topic, in the future, when you guys are doing this, you might get into the legal documents that everybody should have. Really, it's
I like that idea.
But especially for Parkinson's. I mean, you want to have your stuff legally ready. I think we finished ours. We had it done before, but we finished everything. However, do you guys know there's a difference between a DNR and an out-of-hospital DNR?
Yes, I know that just from being a nurse.
I did not know until a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So I downloaded the
hospital DNR. I know what a DNR is, but what about out of hospital?
Well, you have to have an out-of-hospital do not resuscitate for the ambulance people to not resuscitate in your home and take you if someone calls an ambulance.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you just fill it out and your physician will sign it, and you need a witness or two, but I just didn't know you needed both DNRs.
Yes.
No, that would make sense, because within the hospital, it's a whole different environment than being in the ambulance.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the medical directive to your doctor and others. So
yeah,
pretty interesting legal paperwork.
And those, sorry, I forgot to put my do not disturb on. I'll put it on now.
Yeah, we're in the process of doing all that paperwork ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they ask you for an advance directive, go ahead and fill it out to let everybody know. But I will be honest, those can be more easily contested than power of attorneys. So I would, and I know this from personal experience as a nurse in the hospital and a nursing home position.
Yeah.
And yeah, because kids can fight that. And I never thought me and my sister and my brother would ever have that problem. But I know now we are going to have that problem. And I'm trying to convince my parents to do financial for my sister and medical for me because I know we're going to have problems with my brother and his wife because we already have anyway. So do the power of attorneys on the either kids or your siblings or somebody else that you trust very, very well as soon as possible. So definitely. And don't avoid those talks because those talks, the end of life talks, are very important.
Yeah, my mother's 90 and she's doing something very interesting where she's mom. First of all, my mother is extremely logical. I get a lot of that from her, but she's gone through and like inventoried everything in her house and started assigning names to everything. Like and so everyone knows in a sense, so there's no surprises. But when I live probably a 10-hour drive from her, and she was saying, "Would you want any of this stuff?" Or it was like things that were unique to her and relatively new. And I said, "No, give those to the grandkids because I really don't have any connection." But this is the one thing I insisted on. This was it's like a little, and you got the broken, antler here. Because I remember when when I was a kid, she'd have this on the window above the sink. And when she was doing dishes, she would take her wedding ring off and stick it on the antler.
Cool.
And that way it was always there. So this is one of the things I said, Mom, this is really all I want is I just want this because that reminds me of that's from my childhood. Everything else that you have here, give it to the grandkids or the great grandkids, like the Christmas ornaments, because they really don't have any value for us. And I told my kids that we're not leaving them anything, just so they're not surprised.
Well,
my parents have already done their house cleaning, most of it. I wanted the pictures and the record albums because those have a lot of meaning for me. I'm the oldest, and I remember us recording the Lockhart Show. That's my maiden name, and where we would tape record us singing and dancing and all of that. And actually, it was kind of weird because I found a cassette tape that we had sent my grandparents one Christmas, and it was my mom and my dad and the three of us. I would say I was probably in like 6 or 7, and so my sister was 2 or 3, and my brother was a baby. And of course, all of us had Southern accents, and it was hilarious. And then I found one of my great grandmother singing Amazing Grace.
Nice.
Yes. And they were mountain women. There's no other way to put it. And my grandmother, the best way to describe her accent was Minnie Pearl from Hee Haw. That's how she sounded exactly. I took care of my grandmother at the end of her life, and Erica was about 3 and 4. She turned 4 here. And I kid you not, I talked to my grandmother every day. So, of course, I started to sound like her because it was very addictive, that Southern accent. And my 3 and 4-year-old would correct me all the time. And I would say, I'm going to go take a shower. And she said, Mom, it's not shower, it's shower. Yes. And she's still a grammar Nazi at 16. Yes. It's hilarious. I love my daughter. But
yeah,
also,
sometimes they make it challenging.
I also wanted to ask, with the support group, how is it run? Is kind of tell me about like what you do in the beginning. Do you always have speakers? Well, of course, this is Southern, so I know I have to have food at some point. We do have local restaurants that said they would cater for us. Also, we can do potluck, that kind of thing. So how do you do that?
We have snacks every time of some sort. Mm-hmm. And we have a rotating type meeting in that the day is always the same as the second Tuesday of every month. The time is always the same, 1 to 2. But some people arrive as early as 12:30 or leave as late as 2:30, 2:45. But the core, if we're having a speaker, we tell them, be there to speak at 1. And with each speaker, we say you've got 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, or less or more if that's what you need. But this is what we would like. We try to vary the meetings so that some are participatory. So some days we'll put table tents with discussion starters on each table, which maximum 8 people per table. And so then we direct them to question number 1. They talk 5 or 10 minutes. If we feel like it's slowing down, we go to question number 2. We always kind of Q&A. Do you have other questions, etc. when we do those discussions? We have participation. One I mentioned was going to do the art at the museum, the local museum's educational room.
Mm-hmm.
And we have once a year, we have potluck, and it's that Christmas one at the end of November with the graduate students in physical therapy. So they get to have some potluck goodies from our group, and we get to visit with them and see what they've learned about Parkinson's to date. And then other meetings are, excuse me, other meetings are exercise, bring yoga instructor in to do something many of them may not have yet done, or to tell them about exercises that are good for balance, exercises that are good for strengthening your legs, exercises that are good for flexibility. That's always a good thing. I think I promote exercise. We do, of course, have the good fortune every now and then of having a physician come in. And so our December speaker is a movement disorder specialist down from Georgetown near Austin. And so we're grateful. And that each time we've had a physician, it has been sponsored by a pharmaceutical company. And so I think the contracts are, at least half the time you've got to speak about our drugs or our drug, whatever it is they promote. And then after that, it can be Q&A or other discussion from that physician. And sometimes we do community outreach. Like one year, at one meeting, I had pre-drawn some bag tags, like luggage tags, and brought all of my fabric art type markers, paint pens, etc. And then the people in the group colored all of those, and we used those. They donated money, and we bought duffels. So we had a unique luggage tag, a duffel, and we took them down to the liaison in the public school district for homeless students, the homeless children. And each kid got a duffel bag, the tag, and then they used a Sharpie to write their name on it. And that way, like if they got moved into the foster system, or if they'd been already in the foster system, or if they were from hotel room to hotel room, at least they'd have a personal bag for their own clothes.
Right.
And just try to have them, kind of a little dignity thing.
I like that.
It'd be fun to do some community outreach. Yeah. So kind of a variety is what we like.
That's awesome. Also, I know you didn't start the group, but a couple of different places I went to the closest, what do you call it? Word finding assisted living facility. And there's 3 ladies that have Parkinson's, and I've started visiting with them. And just to give them information, we play cards, we play board games and stuff, just to, kind of let them know they're not alone and take away that scary feeling you get.
Right.
And where else do you find people with Parkinson's? It's a little harder in Appalachia. And my second cousin reminds me of that because he's ornery and stubborn and thinks he doesn't need help. He forgets to take his meds. He's not very compliant, but he's very compliant with the cannabis. He comes and smokes with my cousin. Yep. And honestly, I have seen that help his tremors a lot. You can watch him and he'll just relax and stop tremoring. But I know it doesn't last for a long time. And then he's the stereotypical and he doesn't understand. He knows I have Parkinson's, but mine's completely different. I'm non-tremor dominant or whatever they call it. I have the slowness and heaviness on my right side and dyskinesia from the medication. I keep trying to get him to Charlottesville. I got him as far as Roanoke so far, but he thinks he's going to be healed, which I have faith, and I know God can heal, but I know God gave me this for a reason, and it's to help others. So that's my purpose in life, and to educate and be an advocate for people. I'm going to do my best. So where do you find them at? I know that
I think we have similar difficulties, but some of the things we've tried, we have in April, the mayor do a proclamation. So then the people at the meeting, and then if it's on the news, there's the proclamation for April as Parkinson's Awareness Month.
That's good.
We have posters that we put up. And so we have, all about what it is, where it meets, when it meets, who can come, which is for everybody. And then at the bottom, like at the laundromat, you'll see a sign that says buy this, and there'll be all those little rip-off things at the bottom.
Oh,
so
right.
we put our name and email and phone number, so those can be ripped off to learn more about the group if they want to contact us or just to attend. Most of it is by far word of mouth. So-and-so knows so-and-so knows so-and-so. Or they'll say, well, I know a person with Parkinson's, and they'll tell me so that I can contact them. But locally, I make these, let me see if I have one right here. I buy these folders and I fill them with things like the flyer, the poster, information about Parkinson's in general and what's available in Abilene. And I take that and the Davis Phinney Foundation books to the local physicians' offices. And I ask them to give them to newly diagnosed or to persons who are new to the community, even if they've been diagnosed 5 years, 10 years. But they've moved here, if they've moved here. And so a couple of the doctors are quite wonderful about handing out the material. One is here in Abilene and one is up in Lubbock. But she sees a lot of Abilene people because, like I said, everybody from here has to drive somewhere to see an MDS. And so between the information from the doctor's offices, and there's also a 4:30, a half-hour program late in the afternoon, KTAB for You. KTAB is one of our local TV stations. So KTAB for You is where people from the community can be on. They can request to be on, and typically they pretty much always take him. And you can kind of, spout out about what you want to share. And so I've been able to be on and to tell them about either an event or the support group or what have you. It's kind of like a call, hey, people with Parkinson's, we want you to know that there are resources here.
Okay.
And so,
Well, guys, I unfortunately, I got to drop out. I got something to do in about 15 minutes, but.
Well, I could probably go, to tell you the truth. I haven't eaten lunch yet. I'm hungry.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
Yeah,
I've never been in a position before where I've been with two intelligent women. I haven't had it.
I don't know how long do you guys usually go? I don't know.
about an hour. So
About an hour.
Well, it's a little over an hour.
Yep.
Well, without me, but an hour with me. But yeah.
well,
I sure
it
do
was
appreciate
absolutely wonderful, and
Absolutely.
I didn't know you by name, so now I have your phone number, I have your email, and I can keep in touch with you and bang ideas off of you. So that will
Anytime.
really help.
What
And
I'd like to tell Lorraine in the beginning, when I take over the world, she's got a seat at the table.
Hey, I like that.
Well, I'm
She'll
a
be
big picture guy.
be at the head of the table.
I'm the
No,
big
no.
picture guy. Not only is she big picture, but she's small picture, and I need people like that when I take over the world.
Yes, dynamite comes in small packages.
My
Thank
friend
you.
calls me fun-sized.
Yeah. For Halloween, I sent her a picture of all the fun-sized candy because she is fun-sized.
Milky Way.
So
Well, thank you guys.
is your phone number your cell phone?
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
I don't have a landline.
I don't
Well-
either. I still remember my grandmother's landline number though.
Well,
Well,
Tom, wherever it is you're going, have a good
thank you.
time.
Have a good one, Tom.
And
You
of
have
course,
a wonderful one.
Lorraine, tell Jay I said hi.
Thank you.
Is he in the immediate area? He's one like wave to the Parkinson's?
He's downstairs.
Okay. All right.
And we
Well, thank
want to
you,
thank
wonderful.
everybody who watched today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for your support.
Again, you know what this means, right, Lorraine?
I do.
Okay, so I like to sign off with this to see how many young people say, "Mom, Dad, what's he mean by when he does this?"
Well, nowadays they can stream Carol Burnett show, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bye,
What if-
guys.
Take it easy.